I'm back with another video. I know I've been gone a while. I've been checking off things on that bucket list. One of the things on my list was to see the Peruvian Amazon and the Macaw clay licks that are there in the Tambopata National Reserve. Here we go. This trip begins in a rather stormy Fort Lauderdale, Florida. In fact, the thunder and lightning was so bad, every few minutes, a lightning strike continued to delay my flight, and I was really concerned that I was going to miss my connection. Fortunately, the thunder and lightning stopped just long enough to get to Atlanta and board a flight to Lima, Peru. Several from Lima, I was connecting to a flight to Puerto Maldonado. It is one of the gateway cities to the Peruvian Amazon. There are some who are probably going to question my geography and say, well, the Amazon is in Brazil. The Amazon rainforest is an ecosystem. Ecosystems do not recognize geopolitical boundaries. People made those. While the majority of the Amazon is in Brazil, there are 9 countries that are part of the Amazon ecosystem. Many of the rivers and tributaries that flow into the Amazon actually begin in the foothills of the Andes mountain range here in Peru. So my plan here is to visit and explore the Tambopata National Reserve. It is embedded in the Amazon region of Peru. Why do I want to see Tambopata? First, I saw an image in what is called a clay lick, and that image was captured in Peru. Macaw eat clay. In the mornings, they visit these places called clay licks where they lick and eat the clay off the walls. The largest one of those is in the Tambopata National Reserve in a place called the Chunco Macaw Clay Lick. I have wanted to see this place for years. I believe that too late comes too soon. So if you want to see it, you need to go now. So here I am. First, let me say this. This place is not easy to get to. So after my flight to Lima and then my flight from Lima to Puerto Maldonado, I was picked up from the airport and we were driven to a boat ramp. So put on our backpack, walked down the stairs to the riverboat, and started the 2-hour journey down the Tambopata River to our jungle lodge. It does not take long going down the Tambopata River to realize you are not in Kansas anymore, buddy. This is a very different world. Thank you for watching. I really enjoy bringing you this type of content. And if you'd like to see more of my content, please click that like and subscribe button. Thank you. When we arrived at the lodge, we were met by a gentleman named Tito. He pointed everyone to their cabin, told them to put their things away, and then come and we would meet at our dining hall in the center of all of this activity, not far from the banks of the river. Let me say this. The accommodations here are a bit rustic. If you are looking for luxury accommodations, this is not the trip for you. So if you are looking for 5 stars, you're going to sleep under them outside. There is no air conditioning. There is no hot water. There is electricity for about 4 hours a day, so you can charge all of your batteries and devices. And let me say, it's hot. When I got to my cabin, I looked around. It was everything that I needed. I had a bed, mosquito net, bathroom. But it's so hot out here that taking a cold shower, not a problem. Did so several times just to cool off. One little tidbit of information. The mosquito net that you see is not for decoration. You're going to need that. If you have a desire for this type of trip, you're going to be told, wear long sleeves and bring insect repellent, because those things that you think are birds flying around are actually mosquitoes. You've been warned. So after everyone drops our gear, we meet in our, what I will call our multi-purpose room, where we eat lunch, and Tito gives us a brief something about this trip. It is full of activities because there is no point in sitting in your cabin where it is 1,000,000,000 degrees. First thing after lunch, we're going to go on a rainforest walk where he is going to identify several things. Tito is a wealth of information. He shows us what many of us have always known. The forest provides everything that a person could need. He showed us the plant that we use for headaches, the plant that is used for upset stomach, the plant that is used to make lipstick, the plant that is used to make chocolate. And yes, He even showed us that plant that is used as an illegal substance that a lot of people are putting in their noses. It is all growing out here, just wild in the jungle. During this walk, I saw trees that just blew me away. Something we've learned about much of South America, there are very few mahogany trees left in the rainforest. A large percentage of them have been logged. Fortunately, there are protected areas where you can still see them in old growth forest. After the first hike, we returned, and then Tito said, "Hey, we're going to have dinner, and after dinner, we're going to go on a night hike." About 20 minutes after dinner, we meet outside, and so Tito tells us that we are going to go find insects that live in the forest at night. So we meet and we head into the jungle, and by this time it is dark out. She shows us these tarantulas. They were everywhere. Kind of creepy, but still kind of interesting. About an hour into the hike, Tito says, "Oh, yes, I need to let you know that there's a possibility that we may run into some wasps in the forest, and they become aggressive if you get too close to their nest. And they're attracted to bright lights. So if they start to swarm us, turn your lights off." Two things. One, I decided, you know what? I need to hang in the back of this group just in case I need to make an early exit. And I have said this before. I start counting. I can outrun all of them. There was one guy in the group, younger guy. He was a fitness instructor and a triathlete. I'm like, I don't know if I can outrun this guy or not. But he was out there with his girlfriend. And I could tell by the way that he was looking at her, he wasn't going to leave her out there. So I'm in pretty good shape. Number two, why did you wait till we got an hour deeper into the jungle to share this little tidbit of information? Had you told us this an hour ago, there'd be 8 people out here instead of 9, because I would be back in that little sweat box taking a cold shower. And it was just a couple of minutes after that I heard slap. Then I heard a couple of people scream. And then I heard him say, "Turn off your lights." Now, I don't know if the night hike is over. I do know this. It was over for me because I am out of here. Once I got to the trailhead, which did not take me long, I did wait for everyone to come back out. Tito told us we are going to be up at 3 a.m. to begin our boat ride out to the Macaw Clay Lake. You want to be up when the birds get up, so you need to be out there at the crack of dawn. Alarm goes off. I get dressed. I get my gear. We go down the slope. We all climb in the boat, and we start out in the dark. And of course, I am wondering, like, there are logs and stumps and obstacles in the river. They navigated through all of it. It was amazing. As the sun comes up, we're starting to see more and more of the Tambopata River. Not long after that, and the boat pulls up to the shore, we get out, and there's a trail in about another 100 meters or so. There's a sign right here that tells us where we are. You walk out, and on the other side of the river is this huge clay lake. It is the largest clay lake in the world. And I must tell you, the 5-year-old in me shows up because I am hyperventilating. I have wanted to see this for decades. So we go to the sandbar. I get set up, get my camera equipment out. I look at the clay lake, and all I see is clay. I look over at Tito. He says, "Be patient. They're coming." Tito told us the day before that if it rains, the macaw may not show up on the clay lake because wet clay gets stuck in the back of their throats and they don't digest it well, and it becomes a problem for them. And it rained the previous day. Of course, it is so hot out here that everything dries in just a few minutes. And so he says, not to worry, they're going to show up. As the sun begins to rise, I started to see more and more activity. He starts to explain some things about the macaw. They eat the clay because the sodium in the clay helps them neutralize the toxins from the fruits and nuts that they consume in the forest. There are 3 types of macaw that we expect to see here. There is the scarlet macaw, there is the red macaw, there is the blue macaw, and there are also 3 different species of parakeet that consume clay at this clay lake. Few things about macaw. Macaw are social animals. So he explains that even if they are not going to consume clay, they are always going to gather in the trees to socialize with one another. They come here to communicate with one another. They come here to find mates. And let me say this about macaw. When they fall in love, they stay in love. Macaws mate for life. Not every macaw comes to the clay lake every day. A macaw will visit the clay lake about 3 times a week. Macaw live a long time. They can live up to 60 years in the wild. Macaw are endangered. Reason being, because you walk in every pet shop anywhere in the world and you see macaw, and from what people here tell me, that all of those birds have been captured and transported illegally. Macaws stand about 12 inches tall. They weigh up somewhere between 3 to 3.5 pounds. They lay 1 to 3 eggs, and those eggs hatch in somewhere between 26 and 29 days. Their beaks are strong enough to crack a Brazil nut. So if you stick your finger in its mouth, it's a good chance you won't get it back. So now I'm sitting here and the macaw are starting to filter in. And so now you hear their presence. There are hundreds of them. I am blown away by the number of these birds that I see. The sight, the sound, absolutely incredible. Tito begins to explain to us that the macaw do not immediately go to the clay to feed because they're very cautious. There are predators here. Hawks, big cats, other predators feed on the macaw as they're on the clay lake, so they're very cautious. So they'll continue to fly around and communicate with one another until they believe that it is completely safe. First are the blue-headed parakeets. They're looking around, they're a bit nervous. Then another group of parakeets come down. These are white-eyed parakeets. They come and they feed. And the macaw is still a little cautious, but they are moving closer and closer. They come down to the trees, closer to the clay lake, and they're still looking around. They're not moving around much at all. And then the blue macaw come down. First there are 3, then there are 5, then there are 12. And then all of those who are going to feed that day have decided the coast is clear. Let's go dig in. We got here just after 6 a.m. We watched them for hours. For those who want to come and capture images of this, bring the biggest lens you have. Many of the guys here have bought telescopes for those who are just using their cell phones to capture pictures because your cell phone is just not going to cut it. You need a lens for this. This is the distance you were looking at to observe the macaw. So just keep that in mind when and if you come out to see this. I cannot take enough images. I bought several extra batteries for my camera. I needed every one of them. One group of macaw would come in and another would leave. The birds keep flying. I keep watching. And then all of a sudden, this happened. The fly out was worth the trip alone. To see hundreds of birds flapping their wings all in unison was more than I ever expected. You have heard me say this about other experiences. I will say the same about this one. It did not disappoint. Wow. After the macaw fly out, the show is over. It's time to go. But before we go, we walk back to the riverbank, and the guys have all set up breakfast. We go back and we get our gear, we get into a boat, we're headed to our next destination. And I can't tell you how overjoyed I am with the experience with the macaw. I can't wait to come back and do this again. But until then, I will leave you with these. I'll be posting part 2 of this video about my Amazon experience. Please tune in.